BP play a role in getting the convicted Lockerbie bomber released from prison early, just so it could do business with Libya? Big question, big scandal. Joining the company from Washington is John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Mr. Ambassador, did BP have any role in springing the Lockerbie bomber early?
I don't think there's any question about it. The BP had wanted to get back into Libya in a big way for some number of years. There were a long series of complicated negotiations, but BP was pushing the government of Prime Minister Tony Blair for years. And the final hurdle was Libya's demand that Megrahi be released. And papers that the British government itself made public last year showed that BP was all over Prime Minister Brown's government to achieve exactly that objective.
I believe that now that this has been exposed, it has developed into a real scandal in Britain. I believe a cabinet member has said the release of the Lockerbie bomber was a mistake, and I think there is going to be a full-scale investigation.
Well, there should be. This was a disgrace. It was outrageous that this man should have been released. Clearly a decision that Prime Minister Brown forced on the government of Scotland. This is not something that Scotland's separate judicial system could have protected against. It was no doubt that the government in London wanted Megrahi out of prison to facilitate British investment in Libya, principally, I think, BP. At the time, the conservative opposition leader, David Cameron, said that the decision was completely nonsensical, and he yesterday said that they thought the release was a mistake, the current government of Great Britain.
Now, BP has obviously taken a huge hit because of the Gulf spill. Got it. Could they take a further hit, financially or PR-wise or image-wise, if this scandal continues to blow up?
Well, they should take a hit, and we'll see. You know, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee has scheduled hearings for the end of this month. David Cameron will be in Washington to meet with the president on Tuesday. I'm sure this will be a subject of discussion. But I regard this essentially as blood money. 270 people died as a result of Megrahi's terrorism, 189 of them Americans. And I was outraged last summer when he was released to Libya, and I think if there are more facts coming out, more people will be outraged.
But I hate to say, but isn't this par for the course in international relations? That you want to do a big business deal, so you release some real bad guys. You do it quietly, you do it in the dark of night, but you do it. Doesn't this happen all the time, sir?
Well, I hope it doesn't happen from the U.S. point of view. And, you know, I think this was a real failure by the Obama administration. When Megrahi was released last August, people said, well, where was the State Department on this? And the State Department issued a statement saying that Secretary Clinton had worked for weeks and months to prevent it from happening, unsuccessfully, obviously. I just think if you're talking about how to demonstrate strength in the war against terror, you don't incentivize terrorist acts by this kind of release of a man convicted in a free and fair trial under Scottish justice as being the murderer.
Okay. Ambassador John Bolton, thanks very much for joining us, sir. Always appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Yes.